If you dare to follow every word of this haunting tale, you will find yourself drawn deep into a story so chilling it will linger long after the last sentence. A tale woven with memories that stab the heart and shadows that stretch into the soul, the kind that makes you question what is buried beneath the surface of the ground you walk on. So stay close, listen carefully to every breath, every whispered secret, because what unfolds will challenge the very idea of family and fear. Right here, right now. If you haven't yet joined this journey, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Become a part of this community so no unsettling story ever escapes your grasp. Your support keeps these tales alive, feeding the flame of mystery and creating spaces where the most gripping stories come to light. Your presence matters. Your subscriptions echo through the shadows, and every notification means the next secret won't slip away into the darkness. Don't hesitate. Every moment you wait is a secret lost. The story begins with the trembling, ground pulsing past an old willow tree, moss peeling back as though the earth itself breathed, revealing a gray-pink, veiny pit, slick and unsettling like raw flesh, a sight that no child should see but one young boy around the age of 7 did as he chased a rabbit through damp grass. That rabbit wasn't his, or at least his memory fails to claim it, but it shuffled in front of him anyway. Suddenly, it slipped on the moss, the sound of tearing wet flesh breaking the silence as it disappeared below the surface of that horrifying pit, the moss folding shut like the closing lips of some terrible mouth. Panic struck him then. He fled, screams tearing from his throat in pure terror. Years rippled like specters through his mind, marked by nights waking cold and drenched in sweat, the nightmare clutching him tightly and never loosening its grip. Later in life, sitting in a fluorescent-lit server room with the reflection beneath the buzzing lights glistening on his coffee's surface, the man made the choice to let Ruth's call ring unanswered. Ruth was once his closest neighbor, a caretaker in the shadowed absence of a mother who had long since faded from existence, a witness to a childhood forged in silence and bruises. She had often brought warmth in casseroles and concern when the father's roughness became unbearable. But the calls, the familial voices, had become too heavy, the burdens of debt swelling and rent rising as the city swallowed him whole. The lies of being fine echoed hollow through sleepless nights. Memories of a farm he'd never longed for haunted him still. His father's name was a thorn in his thoughts, a name that twisted the stomach, the memory of being woken before dawn to carry feed sacks almost as big as himself, shouted at and slapped for every small mistake. Never enough, never good enough. The school days marked by cruel nicknames like Pig Boy and shoves in the hallways, each telling moment met with cold indifference or bitter blame from his father who mocked softness tied to his mother's memory. Loneliness alongside pain defined his early years. One memory etched in cold frost was when he was 12 and spilled pig slop, the father dragging him outside, slamming him hard against metal until stars danced in his vision and cold bit at his skin until Ruth's steps saved him. Days, months, years elapsed, with the boy trying to build a quiet rebellion, splitting wood for old neighbors, fixing a few structures, earning enough for fleeting moments of freedom. The allure of the city whispered promises and escape. A cheap hatchback, a suitcase packed in plastic, the unknown waiting, a job stocking shelves, the unexpected skill in fixing tills, a glimmer of hope that maybe He was not worthless. Maybe the father's words were wrong. But then, Ruth's voicemail, soft and strained from tears, told of illness slowly sinking the father deeper into the earth's embrace, cattle that could not be looked after, fences collapsing under neglect. She spoke hesitantly, not demanding but imploring silently. No one else remained who cared, no bridges unburned, no hands willing to shoulder the weight. Returning was a torment, the village smaller and fading like an old wound. The rusted signs bowed to time, shuttered shops faded to whispers of the past. The silo's rust bled crimson streaks, and the old farmhouse wore death's seal with warped plywood. The journey back was heavy with pain, memory, and the pressing questions of what remained. The faint hope that somewhere a trace of his mother's presence was kept, a scent or a ribbon left untouched. The reunion with his father was an avalanche of bitterness, the frail man seated in an ancient chair, flask loosely gripped, voice a cracked echo of its former strength. Accusations tumbled silent between them, silence thicker than blood. The father's gaze, distracted and wary, passed over him as if he were a ghost in his own home. The man himself diminished, sunspots marking his skin, dried blood tarnishing a breath, vulnerability stark against the cruel memories embedded in his mind. "Your bags won't carry themselves," the father muttered, brittle and brusque, reminding him of all the years lost. And days unfolded like slow decay. Cold mornings seeped through the cracked windows, work blending into weariness. Small victories in cooperation chipped away at hardened walls. The old man grunting about city boys with soft hands, but allowing himself rare moments of warmth, moments of laughter when the tractor snorted and the past softened. Pride stumbled in words, awkward and slow but undeniably present. Fences mended with splintered wood and crooked posts, a reluctant bond forged in sweat and shared histories. The son felt old fears dissolve into a tentative hope, and yet the nightmare clawed back into his nights with relentless force. The dreams pulled him under again, dragging him to that slimy pit beneath the willow where the earth breathed, and the rabbit cried before vanishing forever beneath the flesh of the soil. Each night, a replay of helplessness. Each morning, waking with a heart-drumming panic and sweat like cold rivers across his skin. It was heavy, relentless, a truth he dared not speak aloud, and then whispers of strange rituals. The father leading bleeding goats toward the marsh daily, the ritual sacrifice fed to the pit that glistened darker now, alive and hungry. The old man's shaky hands and fading strength challenged the son's protective instincts. Refusals for help were stern, but faded beneath the weight of sickness. The son's hands blistered and cracked as he took on chores unbidden, aching to prove worth beyond the scars. A bleak cycle of feeding the land, sacrificing life to awaken growth and stave off decay. A moment of calamity brought the son face to face with the pit's true horror, a slip on slick flesh, a face to face with rotten slime and the sick stench of death in the mud, hidden beneath yellow slime and slick folds, the last thread of a red ribbon, familiar and heart-wrenching, a fragment of the mother's presence, the last vestige of love and loss intertwined in viscous rot. The memory hit like a scream, laughter fading into the sucking pulse of the pit, anger flared with a tangled thread of grief, the hollow made of lies about a grave and forgiveness, bones unturned beneath sunlit soil. The truth was bitter and unforgiving, murder veiled by the folds of the earth itself, and confrontation spilled like fire and ash between son and father, words sharp and raw like tears in the fabric of years. accusation met with confession and despair, a land clinging to blood and sacrifice, a man haunted by his own acts, drowning in guilt and madness. The choices made to save a dying farm, but sacrificing his wife's life, shattering the family in the process. The sun's fury cascaded into merciless action, dragging the frail man, barely able to stand, toward the very pit that claimed so much already. Resistance weak, final pleas mixing with desperation and cold words, a terrible reckoning beneath muted skies as the father was consumed by the earth's terrible hunger. The pit sighed its wet, sucking noise as folds closed over a life, sealing away the pain and secrets. Standing there at dawn with knees weak and heart pounding, the son understood the terrible legacy now resting on his shoulders. The nightmare was not a dream. It was inheritance. The land feeds on life. It demands blood and flesh. It waits patiently like a silent god beneath the moss. The story comes to a harrowing close, but within the darkness lies the truth of a son's reckoning with his past, an accursed land that never lets go. Such is the story of a place where the past pulses beneath the soil, where blood and soil intertwine, and where the devil waits patiently beneath the willow's chilling embrace. A tale that grips the soul and won't let go, forever echoing in the frames of time and memory.